Hello and welcome to Bees to Billionaires, the only podcast where the most attractive people you can't see right now sit down every Thursday to rate everything a book does and doesn't exist. Yeah, they just rate it. I still haven't worked out the new intro. I'm Joshua Joel, and I'm joined by Orissa.
Hello.
Hello, what's poppin'?
Nothing much. I have.
You cut out on my end, so I thought we might have dropped out or something.
Oh no, my Wi-Fi is hopefully fine.
Yeah, no, I think it was.
Yeah.
I think we're all good.
Yes, we're great. Yeah.
Brilliant opening as always. Cool. So, wow, it's a beautiful day. It's a brand new week. Orissa, how are you?
I'm great. Yeah, it's a beautiful day, I guess.
So, who are you?
I am Orissa. I study fine art with a minor in film at Lancaster University.
Mm-hmm.
I mainly do stuff like net art, meaning I have to, because of my degree, basically, I have to know a lot of random crap.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So what is net art aside from random crap though?
So
in practically,
there's different forms of it basically. So you have it's basically creating art. It originally started at least with creating art on the internet, in the sense that you could be using like HTML and making graphics from that. It eventually developed into this kind of performance-y thing, where you would get these people like my favorite one's Amelia Ullman. She created this Instagram account which was like how do I word this? She made this fake persona about her being like a sugar baby and like her life going into like plastic surgery and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and it was all fake and stuff like that, and it was more to just like the art behind it was seeing how people would react.
Yeah. Was that Amelia Earhart? Was that?
Not Ullman.
Ullman? I think I just kind of made it up. 'Cause I just try and fill in the gap of memory.
Yeah.
Earhart. I guess my subconscious brain decided that maybe she made a pun off Amelia. Wait, the actual name's Earhart, isn't it?
Earhart was like the pilot, yeah.
Okay. I thought that the actual pilot's name was something different, so I assumed the name I made up was a pun off the real name, but no, Amelia Earhart is the real name. I'll shut up now. Cool. That does sound interesting.
It's very weird. That's all I'm saying.
I'm sure there's a lot of studying things that maybe don't always matter.
Yeah,
but,
film, for some reason you gotta know like the lace codes in Doc Martens, like.
I have no idea what those words mean. Those words mean.
It's like apparently if you were in like skinhead culture, the way you lace your boots and what color it is would range from I am a Nazi to I killed a cop to I am a neutral person and I don't take part in any of these activities.
Mm-hmm. I'm just balding because of my over average amount of testosterone.
Oh yeah. I can relate.
Cool. So I've just spent 3 days in Yorkshire helping my sister move.
Oh god.
And I've only just gotten back and I am frazzled. I've just wondered. I didn't have internet or on a certain day power for the whole time.
Oh damn.
Well, I didn't have internet for the whole time. I didn't have power for only some of it. And it was. I feel like I've done a lot of nothing the last few days.
Understandable.
Well, it's not that I've done nothing with it. It's the doing random chores on top of the not having my usual like de-stressing methods about. It's kind of
it just
builds up, and like I said, I've just sat in the car for 4 hours, so I am quite not with it.
It adds to
But oh
the
well.
entertainment value.
I hope so. We'll pray.
Hopes and thoughts and prayers.
I would have liked to have done film or art or something like that.
It's a
but at
very
the same time,
strange degree, I will tell you. You meet some weird people.
Oh, I bet. Oh, that's the best part, though.
It's the best part, but it's like, I'm not sure how explicit I'm allowed to be on this podcast, but there's
Oh, go for it.
I know someone that's eaten plastic.
Oh, okay. What like to prove that turtles are just bitches?
I think that was the idea behind it, to prove turtles are bitches. I feel like there's some environmentalist idea behind it. They personally weren't in my group
Okay.
crit, but I do know someone that's eaten a whole plastic bag at this stage.
Oh,
Yeah,
Th-
I don't want to
that's
think
quite
you do nutrition.
quite impressive.
You do like fitness and nutrition stuff. I don't think that's good, is it?
I will be doing fitness and nutrition.
But like
I
from your
packed.
knowledge of it, I don't think eating plastic bags is good for your digestive system.
I don't hear it on any, GCN pre-race warm-up nutrition tips. I'll be honest. But hey, sometimes it just, the human body has evolved over, millions of years. That's what you need to remember. So, what you crave is sometimes, what your body just knows instinctively it needs right now. So
if you're craving colon jam, you should eat colon jam.
well, only if it's a good combination.
What if you have pica? Should you just eat whatever you're craving?
I don't know what that is. Is that a craving for non-foods?
Yeah, so you get it if you're anemic, and like, My Strange Addiction and stuff, where it's like, I like drinking animal
Yeah.
blood. Yeah, all of them basically have pica, but like extreme
Okay.
versions.
God works in mysterious ways.
Of course he does.
Okay. So I thought I was struggling to come up with what I to talk about, but then I came up with one. I don't know where I was going with that sentence when I started it. So I told you to go read and or research and or listen to the Library of Babel,
Yes.
which I have. I'm going to be honest. It's one of those books. It's a short story. That I have a appreciation for, despite the fact that I've never read it. Well, I've read it. I read it like an hour ago.
I mean,
I've read it now.
understandable. To be honest, I read it this morning.
Mhm.
But I was actually surprised by how like some of the ideas kind of like how it influenced quite a bit of pop culture stuff that I can tell.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
It. Well, I've heard like whispers of it from certain like niche things. I don't know. I can't think of it. I don't think of it as influencing pop culture in any particular way. Do you have any?
So, like, the thing that comes to mind the most is like directors like Christopher Nolan and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at Interstellar with the idea of like the infinite third dimension kind of stuff,
Right.
and like I saw some stuff about how it influenced Terry Pratchett and writers like that, and I had
Oh right, yeah, because you actually researched it, unlike me, who
and then there's and then a lot of people have related it to the infinite monkey theorem about like if you put monkeys on typewriters and told them, yeah, that's some of the things I thought was like
it's very similar to that. So I found out of this. I found out about the Library of Babel from basically like I think I stumbled across it under the topic of impossible architecture, which is something I have this really weird affinity for. I guess it kind of stems from the love of like liminal spaces. I don't know if you know, like movie theatre hallways or hotel hallways.
I know what you're on about. I quite like looking into production designy stuff.
And also, I've already said impossible architecture, and like this isn't non-Euclidean, but also like just everything that's weird and wacky with kind of geometry and just like landscapes depicted in art that aren't real. And
so like do you know MC Escher's stuff then?
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to mention.
Yeah, so the Library of Babel, for our beautiful, charming little audience there, I felt that joke didn't work. I don't know. I'm making it worse by rambling. Ashamed. So I'll stop doing that. The Library of Babel is a short story which basically explores a world in which so the entire universe, as it is known by the narrator, is an infinite array of rooms which are hexagonal. 4 of the walls have books on them, and then it's got one door leading into it, one door leading into the next room, as well as a hole in the middle of the room which leads down to an infinite number of the rooms going up, an infinite number of the rooms going down. Well, or maybe not infinite. That's the whole thing. He doesn't know. And every single book in this library has an array of random characters. It's every letter of the alphabet, a space, a period, and a comma are the only things that appear in the library. And it is theorized, again, the characters don't even fully understand it, that no book repeats. So every single possible bit of language, and it's clearly the author's intent, that's although the character doesn't know it for certain, it's very clear that no book ever repeats, and so every single work of fiction that has ever been written or will be written is represented somewhere in the library. So every single secret truth of the universe, every possible prophecy, it's all there, and all of it is basically impossible to find among a infinite sea of just incoherent babble.
Yeah. I mean, I found it quite interesting when they mentioned, like, it's somewhat livable in the sense they have, like, a bedroom and a bathroom on every floor. Is it floor?
Yeah. Every single room has a compartment for sleeping, though it's a standing bed, which is a bit
doesn't sound comfy, but oh well.
As well as some food and a toilet, and it's an interesting question. Well, they like imply the existence of a home, like the narrator character has returned to their birthplace to die, which implies that I guess the food it respawns.
It must do.
It keeps going infinitely, because otherwise, how could they? It's not just one store of food per room, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to return to like communities, because all the food would be gone.
So
unless, sorry, go on.
The thing that's like a lot of people have the question about is then like what's giving them the food and what's created the library and all of that, but I don't think that's important to a lot of the ideas which the book is the short story is trying to present.
Yeah, it's
I feel like they're asking bigger questions than the thing is trying to put forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the character addresses it himself, and he says it's very widely believed that, well, it's evident that the library is impossible, if not some kind of god. But then goes on to say that like it's unclear if such a god is even like conscious. Which I think is a nice way of saying like, yeah, we admit that this is impossible, but like God might not be a dude, and so it's fine.
God might be fictional. Oh no.
So yeah, I mean, I know about. So it's a Spanish author. It came out in 1941. I just read that on the Wikipedia right now, which I sort of expected to be earlier.
I thought it was earlier as well, but also I found out that he like when he was writing it, he was working in a library, and it just was born out of the cynicism that came from the people he was working with.
Right.
Because apparently they're only into like stuff like horse riding, and they didn't actually care for like the books, and he was like complaining that they only used to read smut.
Wow. Okay.
So
does that tie into the fact that a portion, like a page or two of the story, is just them talking about the different types of people and how they all have like, I don't know, all think about books wrong.
Yeah.
Because you get these sort of I don't know if you'd call them nomadic tribes or cults or whatever, but like cultures who, you know, either have the belief that like every single book has meaning, either in a language that, you know, doesn't exist yet, or only exists, you know, thousands of miles away from them in another part of the you know, basically infinite library. They even talk about people, you know, having hallucinations of a giant sphere that was both God and the universe. And the idea is, you know, this hexagon, if you walk in a straight line, you could actually be walking around the circumference forever. And it's so, I was going to say impossibly large that you wouldn't know you were walking around a circle. And then, which is obviously stupid because we live on a planet which is not universe-sized and also happens to be observed to be flat unless you have a very, you know, long bit of view.
Yeah, unless you're... I forgot what the distance is, but like, unless you're basically in space.
Well, no, there's like lakes in... like the massive lakes in America. I mean, there's only a few of them. Or you know, the ocean. If there's something on the other side, so if there's a boat or a tree, only and you've got like a dozen miles, or maybe even greater. I genuinely don't know, but yeah, there is a distance at which, as you move your head up and down, you can see things disappear.
Oh, it's like the vanishing point theory, isn't it? Not theory, but like idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a video essay about it from Folding Ideas, who's pretty good. He's a guy who studied film and either used to work on films or still does. But yeah, he made a video essay, or basically a documentary. It was like an hour and 40 minutes long and not an essay, where he went and kind of did that experiment as part of his thing. It's called Searching for a Flat Earth.
Ooh.
It's quite good.
I mean,
a lot of
we all know the Earth is flat, clearly. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Look in front of you.
Look right. Have you ever seen it curve?
If this was a giant ball that happened to be God and was the size of the universe, then yeah, maybe I could buy that. I wouldn't notice that I was walking on a sphere, but I don't know. I've got a pretty big brain,
like infinite brain.
my feet are pretty wide. I think I'd notice if it was arched by, you know, an infinitesimal slice of
you see
giant marble.
My water bottle right next to me. The water in it is flat. If the Earth was curved, it would have slight bump in it. Just saying.
You're right. Am I stupid, or the book talks about, so every book inside the library is, firstly, I find it very amusing, and I don't know if there's like a point to be made here, but every book is 25, only has 25 characters.
Yes.
And the actual short story of the Library of Babel doesn't exist in the library, or at least not in our real form, because it has, I never checked. I assume it has quotation marks and it has brackets. I know that for certain. Which is not in the library, meaning that the short story itself cannot exist in the library, which kind of already defeats the whole idea that every work of fiction
would
exists. Like most books have quotation marks or parentheses
or semicolons or something.
Yeah, I mean, maths books, an equal sign isn't in the library.
It also therefore cancels out any type of playwright book.
Yeah.
So Shakespeare would not be in there in its entirety, or anything by Arthur Miller would not be there. I mean, it could in some form.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing, is obviously whatever you say, there's a workaround. Obviously, every single book is stated to only be 410 pages long, and it's 40 lines per page with 80 characters a line, or
I think that's right.
It's something like that.
Yeah, the 410 is definitely right.
The 410 is definitely right. And am I stupid, or is there 25 letters in our alphabet?
I'm gonna double check that before I make myself look stupid.
I might be wrong. It might be 26. I'm pretty confident there's 25. No, it's 26.
Okay.
So there's only 20. So it literally says that there's 22 letters, a period, a comma, and a space. So there's only 25 characters in the library. Does they have less letters in Spanish?
How many?
They don't have capitals either. That's also stated explicitly.
In Spanish alphabet. 27.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
interesting.
He just really disliked 5 of those.
Yeah, you just disliked the letter Q or something. Thought it was too posh.
Have we even said who this is by? This is by Jorge Luis Borges.
Yeah.
There you go.
So you know how somebody actually made a version of the Library of Babel?
Yes, we do need to talk about that.
Yeah.
It exists. There's a website which it's procedurally generated via seed. So what that means is, it's generated via an algorithm. So whilst obviously there is not a near infinite amount of data stored on a server somewhere, there is a formula which means that if I go to room 10 billion, which is a really low numbered room. If you click the random button on this website, you are going, in 10 to the power of x, where x is a number between 2 and a million. But but I can know the number of a room, and I can give that to Alyssa, and if we both look at the first book on the first bookshelf, then we will be looking at the same book. So it's functional. You can search through it like it is a library. It's not just generating random text each time. And so there is a website you can go to, and if you knew which buttons to press in the right order, you could find your way to the complete works of Shakespeare.
Minus.
Yeah, it's well, it's minus the quotation marks.
Yeah.
But you could find a version of it that says open quotation mark
That is
You
true.
know,
You can find the transcript of it.
and you think, well, there's only, you're talking about there only being 410 pages. Well, if the first play is 100 pages long, then it will say, go to this exact point on the library, then to find, the second part of Shakespeare's works, and then the rest of the page will be the space character, and it will be right. That has to exist. Of course, there will be literally quadrillions, and maybe that's lowballing it, versions which have the wrong number at the end.
That also means
Well,
that there's infinite.
that is lowballing it.
Yeah.
Because I gave it 310 pages to fill with a number, meaning that it really can just say any room at once.
That also means there is a version of Shakespeare, but instead of it being Macbeth, it says your name.
Yes.
Or instead of the Bible, instead of it saying Jesus, it's saying like Kermit.
Obama.
Yeah, like James Patterson. I got that wrong. Jacob Patterson. I'm having one of those days where I'm just bad with names.
Man, well, I'm having one of those days where I'm just bad. So, it's fine. You win some, you lose some.
Yeah, I just...
round it up.
But then you have infinite versions of the Bible. Replace Jesus with Kermit, or Mary with Mary Magdalene.
With Kermit.
With Kermit as well.
And Joseph with Kermit.
Just replace everyone with Kermit. And but the number at the end to the right continuation is also wrong.
Yeah.
It means you also get the entire lyrics of the Cha-Cha Slide.
There is an infinite number of facsimiles for all of the secrets of the universe. But there is one that is right. And thing is, you're not going to see any of them. Like, it's quite like the narrator says, like the idea of any book making any sense is just so incomprehensibly small. The narrator's father has found the book's only 8 pages long, by the way. So the fact that we're not really talking about the plot is that there isn't one. It is just someone kind of talking about the library and talking about the different viewpoints held by those in the library. All of whom they've grown up their entire lives in the library.
But I think
there's a book where it's entirely incomprehensible, and on like the second to last page, it says, "O time, thy pyramids," and that's like a known event in like their community. That's something that's talked about because that's, like 30 years later, that's a really exciting fact that someone found 4 words.
4 whole words put together. But to be honest, I feel like this is what makes it almost like kind of tragic in a way, because it's this beautiful infinite thing of knowledge, and like in all its like infinite glory, it produces absolute gibberish.
Yeah.
And like the fact that it's seen like a god, but it's just like an absolute mess, and like it's just complete chaos. I think that's like, it almost makes the short story almost tragic in a way, or like a tragic comedy in some ways.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I guess it's like the characters in a way can't see past their own, like they can't see it in perspective of the chaos that it is in some ways. That they have to find meaning in what is absolute gibberish.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, you don't. I guess if once you've been there for decades, and it is their life. I mean, the narrator character's profession, at least when they were younger, was a wanderer. Like, I mean, I don't think anyone has professions, but they went out and just like read the books. There's nothing else to do. and they spent their entire life searching, and it's the fact that they're talking about the discoveries of their father and how that's the most famous thing in their culture. They didn't find anything.
Yeah.
Oh wait, they did actually, didn't they? No, they found one book, and it wasn't it MEV or MEC, and it was repeated. Those 3 letters repeated for the entire book.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is I swear, is much rarer than time lie pyramids.
Yeah, I think statistically
guess...
it is. Actually, it'll be the same statistical chance.
Yeah.
If finding that book is 1 in affinity, and then finding the other one is 1 in affinity, right?
Oh, yeah, but I meant in the case of 3 letters repeating in the same order for an entire book, and that versus 4 words in a row that follow a vague theme. Time and pyramids are sort of linked, or at least in our view.
I get what you mean.
Because pyramids are old. But it's that kind of threw me. How do they know what a pyramid is?
Yeah.
I realise, and they literally, there's a moment when I think someone found a book that looked, or that had a sentence that seemed to make sense, so they couldn't understand it, and then they passed it around, and 4 different people said it was different languages until they finally settled on it's a bastardization of this language combined with this other language with a dialect and slang from this other real world city from somewhere deep in ancient history, and it's you don't get to know that.
Yeah.
Maybe they read about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, what if they just read about what a pyramid is? But that is actually a good point. How would they? Because they would have completely different versions of history, I guess. Not versions, but experiences of it.
And I think versions. I think that the characters live in a fully fictional world with its entire own history. It's weird because, and obviously, the books about language and about just the labyrinths. It's from a collection of works titled Labyrinths. But I had a point and I've forgotten it halfway through the sentence whilst looking at the Wikipedia and double checking that it is in fact from a collection of works titled Labyrinths.
You'll find the point.
Yeah.
What if there is no point? What if that's the point of it?
Wow. We did it. It's the idea that obviously this is based off the idea of infinite books as opposed to, a realistic representation of what it's like to spend your entire life in a library. But if it were, then we have to appreciate the fact that it's kind of they don't talk about writing, and the only time we hear about people taking notes is people randomly generating books themselves, as in they'll sit with dice and roll random letters and then write them out in hopes to make more books to add to the library or something, or to discover maybe if the catalogue of catalogues isn't in the library, then perhaps they can randomly generate it, even though it would clearly take way longer to write out whole books than to just pick one up off the shelf. But it's very clear that if the library was made from a god, if it's older than all of mankind, then the people weren't the ones who invented language. So how did they find out which words were words and how they made sense?
I guess
in a book full of gobbledygook, how do you get to know the words "O, time, thy," and pyramids to the point where you see the phrase "O, time, thy, pyramids" and decide it isn't more garbled
But
randomness.
it also then states, like, comes into the idea of, like, what would they have started with if they were just born into this universe? Did they have evolution where they just plonked down as humans?
Yeah.
Because if evolution was a thing, they would have made language because communication and stuff themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're just plonked down as humans with these, like, fully formed brains.
Yeah, and there's also the question of, obviously, like, and even without that question, accepting the reality of human beings as who are like us, who have just grown up in the library. I wonder how they teach reading. Because do you reckon they have? I guess they just need to teach the syllables and hope that you're smart enough to work out what. Like, because I could have spelt pyramids as a kid, so unless someone, the fact that, like, this one guy happened to have a book that had the word pyramid in it is good. But if I thought that pyramids was spelled Piri mids, pyramids, then
See, as a
I would have
dyslexic,
passed over that book.
as someone very dyslexic, it brings into me the question of the same thing of what if people just misspelled stuff?
Yeah. But I guess at the same time, then that's a book. There is a book out there with the exact same random nonsense, quote unquote random, for the rest of it. And, in the same spot, second to last page, "O time thy pyramids" exists there as well. And that's kind of a good point. They talk about language a lot and how like there are people they call themselves the Inquisitors, is people who every single book they find that doesn't make sense, so even if it's got fully formed words in it, like on the digital recreation, you can decide to look at books that only have words in the English language in them. So the entire thing is a word followed by a single space, or a period or comma followed by a space and then another word. Like, even those don't make sense, the chance of only a word, of only words from the English language and only things with correct punctuation, you'd still have to go through, billions of those books to find one that made sense cover to cover. So there are these Inquisitors who throw books that don't make sense into the hole, because the holes between floors line up, obviously. That there are stairs. I didn't mention that earlier, but if something's dropped and not kind of given any kind of horizontal speed, it will fall for eternity. And it's been said that that's how they dispose of their dead. They just drop people to just disintegrate and rot over an eternity falling, or what is believed to be an eternity, at least close to it. But yeah, so there are these Inquisitors who are just chucking, literally every book they've ever picked up and looked at the first page of, and all of them are going in the hopes that one day they'll just, maybe it'll take millions of generations of humans, but eventually you'll get to a point where there start to be a few books that make sense, and those are the only books around, at least in a particular region.
I mean, the thing is though, how do I put this? Don't you also get the people which think every book is sacred, if I remember right?
Yes.
When those two worlds are going to collide, there's going to be a bit of a
religious war.
Yeah, I feel like if you consider every system of belief to be almost like a religion,
mm-hmm.
when eventually generationally those are going to clash, those beliefs. I feel like that's.
I think it's stated that they do. They talk about people, throttling each other, and that they talked about how the human population used to be much higher.
Oh yeah, and then people
and how. Okay. Are they only 100 years into existing?
I think so, but
Is that a theme? I think they do say yeah. So for 100 years, people have wondered the library. The library is everything. So I guess humans just popped out of nothing. This is all. I'm making this up. I'm not reading this from anywhere. And yeah, humanity used to be much more plentiful, but between suicide and
I was going to say
people
suicide between the
killing each
librarians.
other, yeah, the populations have plummeted. Which is obviously a good point, which is that, like, if you took any real person and, you know, no matter if they're surrounded by, like, a community and having a cool nomadic tribe that just wanders, opens books, see it looks like every other book in its randomness and chucking it down a hole, you know, anyone would get sick of the,
Monotony.
just void of meaning.
Yeah. And, like, I guess the repetition would also, like, the repetitive rooms and stuff would have an effect on morale, to say the least.
Yeah. Oh, so the creator of the website, you should go read these. On the main menu of the site, there is a link called Theory, and it gets, like, the creator of the site has written several pages on either their thoughts on the book or their design of the website.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they talk about how the rooms must be laid out. And at first they're like, okay, they could just be in a straight line. We're never told, like, which wall has the entrances.
Yeah.
So it could be like an infinite, you know, one straight line, and obviously floors above, floors below, all of them are going, you know, north to south, all going in the same direction. Or, but then it wouldn't be a closed loop, and therefore the ones at the end wouldn't be able to have two entrances. And assuming that, and obviously the narrator is just a dude, so they're not necessarily right. But if what we know is true, then that every single room must loop up, then or must have two doors, then everything must be a closed loop. And so they kind of talk about different ways of arranging the
rooms,
the library, in order for it to make sense and follow its explanation. So yeah.
I mean, I imagined it completely differently. I imagined it like one of the MC Escher paintings where it's just like kind of like
Right.
that. I know that's like completely wrong theoretically, but because if it was 1941, like surrealism was taking off anyway. That's my entire vibe on it.
Yeah, I mean, what I sort of imagined, and what I think would be just a little extra pinch of spice, is for the two doors, so that the two walls that harbour doors in any given room to be random, which means, like, it's possible that for a particular set of rooms they go back on themselves. So you go in like a corner, you go in like a circle for like 8 loops, but each time it's a different set of rooms. Like it can just fold back in itself, because
That's quite interesting. There's a game called Antichamber, which is quite like that. If you're interested in like optical illusion, you go into one room and it's like pushes you somewhere else, kind of thing.
I've always thought that that it'd be really nice. Oh yes, I have seen footage of this game before. I've always thought it'd be nice if I wasn't a man with a tiny brain, so small he just called himself a man, which feels incorrect somehow.
Man is a gender neutral term.
Thank you. I think it'd be great to create like a VR game in a square room, and the square room has eight walls. Maybe it's like just like an escape room, or like a sandbox room, just whatever you want to do. Because I'm thinking of a tech demo, really. I don't have any point, but I think an escape room is kind of the best way to do it. And just like, yeah, you're looking at the north wall, and you want to look at the second north wall. You have to just spin on the spot, and then you will look at the fifth wall in the room. And on your right is the sixth, then seventh, and eighth, and then the 8th and the 1st will link up. Yeah, there's a square room with 4.
That would be interesting to play.
I guess if you looked up and then like over your back, maybe that would break the game.
That probably would, but
we don't really need to think about the design limitations, like in the problems in the code when this isn't. When this is being theorized by someone who can't code, at least speaking for myself, I don't know.
I know VB, C#, and HTML, if you count HTML in the slightest. I know a bit of Java as well.
I could code some Java going into GCSE computer science.
Oh, well, they scrap the coursework.
They only require you to be able to do. Oh, you do need to do coursework, which I did do in Scratch. Just because I was lazy. And then they only require you to be able to code pseudocode.
Oh.
Which, for the listening beauties, that's code that basically works inside its own internal logic like any programming code does, but doesn't follow any particular coding language's rules and like layout and syntax. So basically, it's just like a logic puzzle, basically, following programming conventions. And I came out of the GCSEs knowing programming less than I did in year 9, which wasn't great. And I stepped into an A-level comp sci classroom, having done really well in GCSEs, and the first thing they wanted me to do was program. And I couldn't do that, which was an interesting realization.
All I remember from GCSE is I knew how to program. I couldn't do any of the theory.
Right.
I think I fell into that boat.
I had a teacher who gave me the same binary worksheet, probably like at least half a dozen times.
Oh, at least you got your binary knowledge like full and through.
I knew binary, like mostly to completion, as it exists, as a GCSE topic.
Yeah.
At the beginning of GCSEs.
I think I knew it slightly earlier, but that's only because when you do the color thing where you like select a color and it comes up with like numbers and letters and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So like a deep blue is like 10, 23, 72, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think I've got that right. If I've got that right, I will give myself an Oreo biscuit or something. But
yeah, if you're talking about like hexadecimal.
Yeah, it's the hexadecimal thing. Me in like year 9 was like, what do these numbers mean? Then I found out what hexadecimal was first before finding out about binary.
Yeah.
So I went backwards.
I think I found out from randomly watching Khan Academy computer science videos in my spare time.
I mean, that works too. I mean, I used to.
Which it's weird how like I'm a self-motivated learner, but I wasn't. I was out of education for like I think it was 3.5 years before I went to a school to do my GCSEs starting in year 10, and it's weird looking back and being like, I was a really good self-teacher, and then I went to school and I stopped doing that. And also did pay attention in lessons. I think my my stress response is actually just to like completely check out of my current environment and just lose all attention.
I kind of think that the way they teach GCSE, this is completely unrelated to the Library of Babel.
That's very fine.
I think the kind of way they teach GCSEs, especially, kind of kills your love for the subject which you originally had, because it just becomes this. You kind of need to regurgitate knowledge instead of actually knowing it.
Yeah.
Or like with maths, for example, they just teach you the formula. They don't teach you how to understand what you're actually doing. Or like with English, it's just like regurgitating the same paragraph but editing certain things. I much
Yeah.
preferred A levels to GCSEs, for example, because it was more applied knowledge, and you could actually like a lot of the things I did English lit, for example, and a lot of the things you were saying actually made more sense than going, the curtains are blue because the writer had depression.
I did maths, further maths, computer science, and physics.
Oh, damn.
I took physics as like an interest
Yeah.
option. I couldn't cope with the workload, so I dropped physics. Then I realized I couldn't program, so I dropped computer science and retook physics. And I was only out of physics for like 2 months, so I was just about able to catch up with like a half term of work. And by just about, I mean like, I don't think I actually did, but I think I managed to scrape by anyway.
It didn't matter in the end.
The lesson that I attended the most in the final 6 months of college was English literature. It turns out that I realized at the very beginning of lockdown we had online lessons that were basically optional. We had online lessons from the point at which we were in lockdown, but then when it became very clear that we weren't getting any more education and we're just going to get our results one day, we just got the teachers could teach us whatever they wanted, and with a focus on things that were like introductions to year one uni topics, which is cool, which is really
cool.
good. And also they were much funner lessons because you didn't need to work and like I guess prove you got it fully.
Yeah.
And I went to I started going to English literature, and like with all my extra free time I started kind of getting into writing, and like that was the most fun I had in my entirety in the entirety of my time back in formal education.
One thing I did love about English lit,
and I hated English in GCSEs.
English GCSE was awful. English A level was great because English A level you had so much more freedom about what you wanted to read. I'm not sure.
Well,
sorry.
It's implying that you read your
right.
your books or whatever.
I didn't read them. I had audiobooks them.
For GCSEs, I think maybe I'm stupid. We were never set homework to read the books that we were doing, and we also never like went through them in class or listen to the audiobook or whatever. So I just didn't do them, and like it didn't occur to me until like the week of my GCSEs that I was like, they probably expected us to just do this of our own accord, huh? Because it literally never occurred to me that it was I guess that I could decide to do things on my own, or that it was expected that I would do that. It's important to express that I went to a college that didn't give homework. It just had longer days instead.
Yeah,
so
we didn't have homework. Ours was like optional homework. It was like you can do extra reading if you want, but they didn't believe in how do I put this? They didn't believe in homework, but we also had like naked people running down the hallways. So I think they just kind of gave up.
Where did you go? Please tell me about this.
So my college.
Unfortunately, I'm a few years late to now go and see all the naked people.
So my college had 4 floors. And then each floor was divided into 3 sections. At the first section and the last section, there was like lifts, elevators. There was basically this challenge going around where you would get into the lift at the bottom floor, get changed like out of your clothes, run to the other lift at the other side of at the top floor, then go down in the lift, and then run down the bottom floor, and then get changed back in, and then.
That's so good.
So I I was in film studies and we had these glass windows looking into the hall. So we did just
Oh
see
my
just people
goodness.
just running past, just fully naked.
And what? And no action was done about
No,
this.
because they're wearing their lanyards.
Ah, if they, well, and they weren't wearing a hoodie either.
Oh no,
Weren't
ours
chewing
was
any
literally
gum.
just like, don't just wear your lanyard. And people were like, nah, fam, that's way too much. But like, this is for contrast. My secondary school had regulations on what type of bras you could wear, and like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and like girls' hair length had to be like longer than their collar, and boys had to be like shorter than their. I think,
Really?
yeah, and there was like we had to wear skirts, even when it was freezing.
That's quite cringe.
Yeah,
I'm very. You hear about those rules. I don't. You don't hear much about hair length these days in Britain.
it's because the idea for the long hair for girls was for sport. The sports uniform asked for like a ponytail.
That's
That's strange.
okay. Are we sure someone didn't like misread that?
Nope, it was
Like, they
like
didn't
we
go-
had a handbook.
It wasn't like because that sounds like someone going, "Oh yeah, if you've got long hair, it should be in a ponytail," and someone reading it and said, "Well, it says hair must be in a ponytail, therefore, someone with like a shaved head is doing something wrong."
I do wonder if that was the case as well, but like they also had rules against like hair extensions and stuff like that. So if you cut your hair short, there's nothing much they could do about it. They could put you in a
Right, yeah.
detention, but like until like your hair
Just
grew
until
out.
your hair grows back. Yeah.
Yeah. And like one guy, they were doing Movember, and they literally like got him a razor from the local co-op, and then gave it to him, and was like shaving in the toilets.
Wow.
Yeah, they. I went from a school like that to a college which had literal naked people running in it. It was whiplash, and I love it.
Mm.
There's
I don't know where they go from that. I mean, so time has flown by. I don't know how much time we spent meandering after I pressed record and before we actually started the podcast. So I can't say accurately how long we've been going, but we've been going close to an hour.
yeah.
Not that means we need to stop.
Up to you, I guess. You are podcast god.
Ooh, thank you. Podcast Jeebus. I'm just trying to think if there's anything more that needs saying about the Library of Babel. Man, I don't know. I have like big geometry makes me feel emotions that I can't express.
I get what you mean. It's like overwhelming in a way, but like a good overwhelming.
I don't know what. There's a video by Jacob Geller about it. It's called The Shape of Infinity. Jacob Geller is partially. It's not the guy who introduced me to the Library of Babel, but the YouTuber who got me to like I don't know, think about it more. And in that video, The Shape of Infinity, he references another video which I could have just spoken about. It's on its own called Visualizing a Google. And it's someone using Lego.
I know. I think
and,
I've
like,
seen that one.
Mechanical gears to building a it's a long series of gears, each of which is rotating at like an eighth of the speed of the one previous, and he's able to point and say like, this one rotates every 30 minutes, this next one rotates every few hours. Over here is one that isn't going to turn for thousands of years, and you get to the final one, and it's going to rotate in 1 Google years, which is 10 to the power of 100. And looking at a part of me really wants to like rebuild that, but like definitively going into the work of knowing how long it takes every single gear to rotate, and like maybe color coding them and like labeling them as like this one will turn as the Earth is falling into the sun. You know,
Oh God.
this one is when we will know if proton decay exists or not in a few quintillion years, and like this one is much earlier on. This one will turn when I like pass the life expectancy of me. You know, I will be dead when this cog turns. And it's and the final one is like depending on what kind of model of the universe you subscribe to, the universe might have ended by the time that cog would like even begin to tick. And it's a coffee table sized abyss, you know?
Yeah.
It's like the most kind of beautiful expression, kind of seeing like, well, here are the first 20 gears, and now we've reached the one that hasn't moved since this thing was set up, and the rest of them, you know, are millions of times greater than that one. It gets me. It's so cool.
It's just the idea of infinity as well. It's just kind of scary.
Did you know that we are not... I don't know if I've said this on the podcast previously or not. It's a fact I find really cool, so I say it a lot. We are 95% of the way through the existence of stars.
Are we actually?
Yeah.
Damn.
Because stars take light materials and they fuse them up. So, you know, their whole existence is getting rid of fuel, you know?
Yeah.
And once you reach the point where everything in the Milky Way is iron or higher, and like, you know, there's a few patches of stuff that's lighter, but it's, you know, small enough that it's not gonna fuse into a star, then that's it.
Yeah.
The Milky Way galaxy, we currently have 3 stars appearing per year. This is all from a Kurtzigart video, by the way, because all of my knowledge is... I was going to say all of my knowledge is stolen, but that's how teaching works.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's like personalities are just amalgamations of other people's personalities which you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't want anyone to think that like I read papers or I'm smart in any way, because we all know that that's not true.
Most of my knowledge comes from Vsauce videos I watched 10 years ago.
Yes. That's how we do it.
That's how you come up. That's people like, wow, these people must be so smart. No, we are not. We just go down YouTube rabbit holes at 3 a.m. It's like the whole...
Yeah. Oh, sorry?
I was going to say, it's like the whole Googling whether you can burst your stomach open at 3 a.m. kind of thing.
Is that a particular thing you've Googled?
I was like trying to think, because have you ever eaten so much like you feel like your stomach's gonna burst?
Oh, I mean, yeah, don't fruit flies do that?
I think.
Don't they physically eat until they explode? I don't know.
Yeah.
What? That's a thing that's my mum would tell me when I probably asked that question as a kid. Wow, you've just resurfaced an ancient memory.
So it got me down thinking, is it possible to actually eat so much that your stomach just kind of bursts or rips open? Apparently you can.
Biologically, like, yeah, it must be able to. You must be able to, like, get to the point of...
It's like if you don't eat for an extended amount of time, your stomach apparently gets very small. And then if you eat food like fish bones, it's more likely to pierce your stomach as well. Yeah, and like food which doesn't digest quickly. So very... how do I put this?
Yeah, because
Don't eat your brown bread, basically, or like
most of our organs, yeah, like shrink and grow over time. So yeah, I guess letting something shrink and then eating a whole lot would do that.
yeah, and apparently if you eat food like fish bones, it has an increased chance because it's a sharper object in general. Plus, it won't digest quickly because bones aren't very high in fiber. Not fiber. They're not easy to digest.
Juice.
Yeah, they're not easy to digest, is what I mean.
Yeah. Because I was talking about organs. Oh man, did you know that there is no difference between a virgin and a non-virgin hymen?
Yes, I know this because
that's just like a thought that exists.
but
it's completely.
I try to
true.
explain this to people and they don't believe me. Like even other women, they're like, "No, our bodies have a natural detector in it." What reason would there be for that? Do you think a monkey cared?
Yeah. It's the same with the butt.
Yeah.
It's only stretched for a limited time. Why would it?
But like, if you were to do the splits, for example, or like ride a horse, or like or anything, it's not. Or like, if you're just a naturally flexible person, it's not going to be perfectly, intact. God, that myth very much bugged me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, why would it exist in the first place? It's like people that think women have one less rib or one more rib or something.
Well, that's like from the Bible.
Yeah, but have they not seen a skeleton?
To be fair, like I've never actually had a male and female skeleton in front of me in image or in real.
I'm pretty sure
compare.
like mainly female ones are just smaller.
But I guess that's the point. Like if there was a difference, people would show you those skeletons at the same time, and they don't.
Women's skeletons just tend to be a tad smaller because women don't have height as much as men normally.
Haha, classic femoids.
I am tall for my race, and that's what's important.
Okay, but what? But still taller than the average man? Is that the implication there?
I am tall for a female in South Africa and India. I am short by a female in the UK standards, but that's not important.
Yeah.
I therefore count as tall, and I'm gonna tell everybody this because I am tall.
So the Library of Babel website, this is something I actually found out. I was going to say earlier. Most of the things I found out were earlier, so that's not. That's already been established. So it also does images.
Oh, does it?
I believe it works the same way. I believe it literally takes the books and it translates. It gets rid of like separate pages. It makes it all one image, and then every single. I don't know if it does each character as a pixel, or if it's like every 4 or 5 characters is, remade into a pixel. But like it's the same thing. It takes random jargon, and instead of displaying it as text, it displays it as
an image.
An image.
Did you see the video where someone theorized about this in like a TV with gas?
I didn't.
He basically made this theory that if you were to color code, I don't know why he said gas particles and not like screen pixels kind of thing.
Right.
Like you could in theory just like alter the dial on the TV, like if it was an old TV apparently, and you would get every image possible regardless of whether it happened or not.
Right.
And I thought, in theory, that would be possible. I didn't know it already existed.
But it's so it's every kind of possible RGB value, or maybe obviously I don't know how it's generated. So maybe it's missing a few shades or something. And obviously they're all like the same like resolution, like because all of them is like one book compressed,
Yeah.
in a through a certain formula. But like I discovered this. I think I had like a vague notion it existed, but although I hadn't used it, but I went onto the Library of Babel's the website's subreddit, which I went to like top posts, and the top posts of all time had like 200 upvotes, so clearly it's an unused subreddit. Most of the top posts were literally like. The website has a search function, by the way, so you can search for a particular phrase and you will get a book with that phrase in it, which just means if you search the word daisy, you will get a book full of jargon that with one word that happens to be daisy. It's kind of uninteresting, because you just get exactly what you wanted alongside a bunch of nonsense, because of course that would be the first book it finds that has the exact phrase you looked for in it.
I remember when sorry.
So I just one person in particular made a post talking about how you can image search the website and they put their nudes into it, and the website was able to say, yeah, it's this book in this room of the library. That is, when looking at images rather than text, that is a naked picture of your real world body. And like for obviously this website hasn't existed since the beginning of time, but it's like it is like it's an unconscious set of code, that so like someone could have turned a computer on and written this 200 years ago. They invented a computer back then. It's a really smart hypothetical person we're talking about, and they could have seen your boobies, and I don't know. It's like obviously that makes sense. Obviously, if you generate a random image, there is an infinitesimal chance that you're going to get an image exactly identical to a hypothetical nude that someone on the planet right now could take. But it's still just it's crazy to me. Yeah.
That means every image you ever taken has existed before you've taken it.
Wow, yeah. I don't think, like, how long has the website been up? It launched in 2015. Every single image taken in the last 6 years has been a sometimes like higher quality version of, but every single one of them has existed before.
Which is a scary thought.
I mean, yeah, and that's the point. It's like you could write you could spend a decade of your life and writing this extremely personal, editing and re-editing, making this like perfect book that was everything you wanted. It's a new fantasy epic. It's the first of 10 books in a series. It spawns an Amazon Prime series with a budget even higher than their Lord of the Rings one. But it already exists.
Yeah.
If I press like the random button on this website right now, I might look at it. And I'll just go publish it. Obviously I don't think they wouldn't let you do it. Or at least they would until the first person sued over it. But like someone could just copyright the contents of the library. If good old Jonathan Basile, Basile, I don't know how that's pronounced, but the guy who made the website, all he has to do, he can copyright every single bit of fiction ever written, and every bit of non-fiction, and every single lie, every bit of fake news. It's baffling. Do you remember what you were going to say before I kind of cut you off to finish my point earlier?
I think it was like when I first heard about the site. Okay, that's scary. I just put my dog into the image search and he exists.
What? Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, obviously that's how it works. That's just how I say it works. But that is, isn't that fantastic?
He's that number if you want to ever see my dog. Apparently,
I think that's. Can you copy? Is it hyperlinked? Because I think the ... that's in the middle of the number you sent me might just be like 1,000 characters.
Oh God.
I don't know. Is Babelia the name of the dot? Is that part of it, or is that?
I just copied the number at the bottom. I don't know. Let's see if hyperlink works. Oh no, it doesn't. I don't know how you would like share that. Bookmarkable home. I don't think you can share it. That's so sad.
That's a shame. But okay, yeah. So I could. Okay, I'm gonna upload my current Discord profile picture. I don't know how interesting this is to listen to. I'm not gonna edit it out because editing's hard.
Like, yeah, but I remember. I have a relatively like hard to find name if you get me when you go into the shops and like look for a mug.
Yeah.
So like the first thing I did was search for my name because I was like, it would actually exist. And I just remember being like, yeah, my name exists. But keep in mind, this is when I first found out about it in like a Vsauce video quite a while ago.
Yeah. Oh, so when you sent me a link and it was like it had an ellipse in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you click on that number, then you get the actual full text, and it is.
Oh boy.
It is literally like. It's a few characters long.
A few.
Yeah. It's a number that. You know, oh, it's so big. I don't even want to like guesstimate how many characters that is, or like 10 to the power of what that is, because we're working on a scale that I just cannot comprehend. I keep dragging the box out to make it bigger and bigger, and the sliders aren't.
Yeah.
The scroll bars aren't getting bigger because they're still at their minimum size. I can literally make this take up my entire screen, and the scroll bar is still like a single pixel down. Still gives me like an entirely different page of numbers. None of it fits.
This is terrifying.
And that's you can change every single digit, every single like character represents 10 entirely unique images. All of them. Just nothing. And here is a very low, no, not even very low, a slightly low, a slightly blurred, I wouldn't say, but it's a grainy picture of me and my friends all dressed up as fruit on the last final day of church camp.
Oh, beautiful.
About to go to a costume party. And that has existed for 3 years longer than the real photo that was taken has.
That's terrifying.
Christ. Oh my God.
That means every face possible.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, every single human that... I just felt like... I keep saying like, oh wow, and like, it keeps shocking me again, but that was the thought I just had that like made my lungs and my stomach leap. Every like single possible human being's face and fingerprint, and like DNA is on this website.
Yep.
Every single theoretical child of every person on the planet right now. Yeah, if you picked, every single, biological man, every single person of the woman's sex, line them all up, just like this man, 3.5 billion women, every single one of them, and then we can combine every sperm in that guy's nutsack, every egg that woman will ever produce, run through all of those, all possible combinations. Those faces are here. I can...
That's not terrifying to think.
If I click the next button, maybe I'll see one of them. Nope, it's static.
I mean, there is a possibility that. So maybe you should just keep pressing it for all eternity.
The the fa- if Jesus was a historical character, if they really existed, or even if they were like multiple different people with acts all attributed to one guy, the face of the face of Jesus is in here. Yeah, there is a gif. there like the gif of I wanted to go for like a funny example than just saying Jesus again, but I can't think of one. But like every single frame of a video of like the point of view of Teddy Roosevelt's entire life is in here.
Everything to
Unfortunately,
ever exist.
it won't all be in order. You'd have to go. It would have to be infinite for it to be in order. But the site is very explicitly not infinite. The one thing that did throw me, however, is that my profile picture, it was the right resolution. It matched like the image dimensions of my actual profile picture. It's because it's a cropped image.
Yeah.
That I put in. So either I don't know if like all of the edges were just like black, or if it made them see-through, or if the dimensions are changeable. If I send that in Discord, is it okay? Yeah, it just has a massive black border around it.
Yeah, same with my dog.
Yeah.
I didn't realise he had the white.
Oh yeah, I didn't realise. Yeah, I assumed that you just sent me like a snip of the site or something when I first saw that. But no, that's okay.
Yeah, the black bars are the site. I just didn't snipping tool very well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But like, he exists. My dog exists in the site. I put in a photo of like me with my friends. That existed
I'm just
6 years
looking
before.
at the thing that I will do in 10 minutes is already documented. I'm gonna be sick. Just like everything I look at, every single point of view from my face has been there for 6 years.
And not just every photo of your face. Every photo of your face plus like 10 pounds of acne or something.
Yeah, there is a full. One of the books contains a script to a documentary, and every single frame of that documentary is also in the library, and together they make the true crime story of how I was murdered and run over a car with, of course, very graphic, realistic images of that happening.
That's terrifying. Your entire life is probably mapped out in one of those books as well.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. There's
the way you're gonna die.
If you ever watch a show called The Magicians on Prime, they have this idea of like your entire life's written in a book, but you're not allowed to read it, or the universe will like implode on itself. And the library's oats are like massive. It's basically infinite. Or like it's
got every single person that is alive. Yeah.
But there's like books on everything kind of thing. I'm not sure if it probably is based on this idea, and I didn't realize, but like it's just interesting to see,
Yeah.
Like there do be some pop culture influences here and there.
Yeah, I'm just reading the influence on later writers section of the Wikipedia for the short story.
We love Wikipedia.
The Temple of a Thousand Doors from the Never-Ending Story, which contained all the possible characteristics of doors in the fantasy realm. A later chapter features the Infinite Monkey Theorem. Terry Pratchett uses the Infinite Library in Discworld.
I got the Christopher
Most of
Nolan.
these I haven't heard of. Oh yeah, it does say Interstellar. The protagonist becomes trapped in a black hole which mirrors the Library of Babel. His universe consists. I haven't watched Interstellar, which is why I'm reading this out.
You know it for the
infinitely
memes.
extended tesseract consisting of the backside of a specific bookshelf full of books in his formerly family owned all directions, but at different times in his bookshelf's history. The scene has been compared to the. Okay, I think that was a very wild and experimental and out there sentence, or like scene from a film. being described in a sentence.
It's
which
a very
was
surreal film. It's a good film.
Yeah.
It's just been memed to like death.
Have you watched 2001?
Yes, I have.
The end of that film was something.
That film is just a bit existential, to say the least. Just yeah.
It was very interesting hearing Daniel try and like decipher what the final scene was, and him.
Oh.
He started talking about like non-Euclidean time and like flowing from a moment into a different moment where the first moment is observable and the first moment no longer exists. And it was interesting because I was trying to think of like, oh, we're just seeing like, you know, possible futures, or it's, you know, it's because he's going through the process of evolution because he found the final obelisk, so he's just kind of seeing states of change. But seeing the way that Daniel Willett, who was on here last week, I don't know if you listened to that episode.
Oh, I haven't yet.
But
sorry.
the way he saw it.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
And he saw it exactly how I kind of expected Daniel to. I went to him with, he's camping right now.
Yes.
He was the first person I went to with the idea of talking about the Library of Babel, because I was sure that he would have some fascinating views on it.
Fascinating.
He wouldn't be very interested that if I told him that equal signs aren't in the books and therefore math textbook can't exist. He would have
thrown hands.
He would have thrown the short story out in disgust. Yeah.
I mean, I have an open mind, despite the fact that means. Okay, I do art and film. I'm still very much an English lit nerd, and I do like my plays quite a bit. The fact that there's going to be no All My Sons just perfectly written, absolute blasphemy, if you ask me.
What? Sorry?
Oh, I was making a joke that like.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
It's blasphemy that they don't have like the exact copy of All My Sons.
Copy.
Yes.
I love how literally you could add, a single character. You could add double quotation marks, but like not, you know how there's one, it's 66 and 99, but if you did like a perfectly straight one, so you only add one character, one symbol that can be used to be the start and end.
Yeah.
As it's sometimes written, and even that would add literally like an incomprehensible number of books to the library.
Yeah.
You would add. You would take the number of books that currently exist, and would you put it to the power of 26 divided by 25?
I think so.
We'll pretend that I'm right.
Yeah, you seem to have a better maths knowledge than me.
It's just bad. Yeah, because it's or is it? Oh, shut up.
You can keep going.
Well, no, it's because I was trying to think in my head, and I realized that me like sitting here and pondering for a long time wouldn't make good podcasting. Although I could edit it out, but I'm not going to.
Editing's difficult.
I refuse to sit and listen to like a whole podcast episode directly after I've recorded it,
Understandable.
or like a day after I've recorded it, or whatever. So instead, Audacity has a detect silence feature where it just tells you this is a moment where no loud sound is made for 2 seconds. And I go, okay, cool. And I just like delete all of those spaces. I listen to them first, obviously.
Yes.
But yeah, because I am lazy.
Understandable.
If you want that to stop happening, dear listener, put this episode of the podcast on loop. Because once we hit 100 weekly downloads, we can start running ads through Podbean. So just listen to if you're one of like the 3 weekly listeners, just listen to the podcast 97 times a week. Then I will, I'll get some money and then I'll decide to put some effort
Just some. Like 1.5 grains of effort.
Yeah.
You need
No, I'm sure the adverts will be hot garbage though. I mean, it depends how they assign them. I assume I don't know, because I imagine no one's walking in. Oh, it doesn't really matter. But like, I kind of expect that even though one person listening to your ad in a podcast that gets no listens is the same as one person listening to your ad in a podcast which gets 1 million weekly downloads, because it's one listen each time, and that's the metric that they measure in. It's kind of the weekly downloads, the number of listens. But I just feel that like as a completely scrub tier podcast that even my friends and family don't listen to, I feel like I must be getting just like like an advert for dog food or something. Shit, no, that'd be good. That's an alright advert.
I was going to say like the Tumblr
egregious.
level adverts is what you should be expecting. Like the need insurance, just die, just stuff like that.
I'd run that advert.
I'd run that advert. You just need the shit posts of adverts, and then that's where you get your money from.
If you're listening to this, well, firstly, if you're listening to this, then you have me on Discord or Instagram. So message me, and we'll hook you up. You sending me like £5, probably less. I could go for less, and I will say whatever you want me to. Send me whatever glossy.txt file you wish. I'll read whatever its contents are here, not live, not on stream. Because this is a podcast.
So even if it's the script of the entirety of some, if it's pi up
According
to 1 million
all
digits.
known laws of aviation, there is no way a bee should be able to fly.
I was going to say the
short
bee
and
movie.
stubby to lift its fat little body off the ground. The bee, of course, flies anyway, because bees don't care what humans think is possible. Black, yellow, black, yellow, black, yellow, black, yellow. Ooh, yellow and black. Let's change it up a little. I'm sorry, I don't know the script past that. But I do know that is the first bit of actual
It's something
dialogue.
about your dad paid good money for those stairs. You should use them.
Yeah. He flies downstairs, has an argument with his parents. The thing is that happens like a few minutes in, but I think the most of the opening is just Barry getting ready for the day silently, aside from him looking through his wardrobe and saying black and yellow, and so forth and so on. We've been going for like over an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I think that this is the stopping point. I have had fun.
Yes.
I don't know if I've gotten every thought. The problem is when I think about, like, when I get really hyperfixated on something and I think about it for like a week straight and then I decide to talk about it, I feel like all of my big thoughts, like I've thrown them around in my head, they're old and like I've forgotten them. I don't know. I feel like on the topic of mega structures, and I mean mostly my impossible architecture fascination is separate to the Library of Babel, but I feel like I had so many thoughts on that, which there's like this spiritual feeling. There is some great emotion to it that I cannot even begin to describe, and maybe at some point I could have had a fully formed thought about it, and I've just lost it now. And
I think I get what you mean. It's the thing where someone asks you, like, what's your favourite book, and then you will forget every book you've ever read, or...
Nope, it's called Ugly Pleasant.
Oh.
What's your favourite book?
I always default to saying something like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but like...
Solid choice?
Solid choice, but then like, if you're asking what I'm reading at the moment, it would be completely, like, a different vibe, if you get me.
Yeah.
Like, if you want the book which made me cry the most, it would be, like, my Year 9 book of, like... I think it was The Bunker Diary, I think it was called, in, like, Year 9. But, like...
Okay.
Like, all-time favourite, I would go Hitchhikers. If you're going... Like I'm
like emotional resonance,
Yeah,
or book you can reread the most. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways
interpret it. I
to
think
tear a donkey.
oh, but it's like favorite
There it
TV show. I've got
is.
like 7 at the moment.
Mm.
Saying that, they're finally firing Chibnall. That's great.
Oh,
That's made my
man,
week.
controversial. Maybe this podcast is very popular with Chibnall stands.
I'm
No,
sorry if you like Chibnall's writing.
you can fuck off.
It's like
Um,
let's make Doctors before the Doctor and then ruin like a lot of things within Matt's arc. Okay, great.
right, yeah, I didn't actually watch I didn't watch most of Jodie Whittaker's run. I will be honest,
I
but yeah,
gave
that
up,
is the.
but I watched like video essays on it.
No, we'll get another arc about how the Doctor before the Doctor like won the lottery and got one extra regeneration.
Oh, it's the fact that they brought Gallifrey back for the 50th anniversary, a pretty big event in a show's history. And Chibnall
Yeah,
be like, I want to be special, ruins it in one episode. It's like, so you've destroyed Gallifrey to bring it back, to destroy it again.
they lost. Oh, the Doctor lost his house key. He's forgotten.
Yeah.
The coordinates of Gallifrey. He had it written on a post-it note. It was stuck on the fridge. It clearly lost its stickiness. Maybe it got swept away by a breeze. We don't know where it is. He's got to go looking for it again. It's going to take, or she's got to go looking for it again. That's next 5 seasons mapped out.
Oh, and there's some other stuff which they didn't make it clear where the Master is in the timeline, so it's messed up a couple of things with that. Oh, it's a massive
Fair
mess.
enough.
Oh, and they're making the next season one big story because that's exactly what the show needs to be slowed down.
Okay. I am interested to see some serialized Doctor Who. I won't. Is serialized the word I mean? That means.
I think serial means every. Wait, is it a?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do mean serialized as opposed to episodic. I don't know. Well, in some ways, it's like it's like Torchwood. I like the episodic stuff was better. But at the same time, like the serials could really go far-reaching. I feel but like if you want to kill like a character off at the end of the season, maybe you have a 2-parter.
Yeah.
I don't know, or maybe you've had like one story thread that's like vague in the background of episodic things. But when you've got like one story that goes for like 3 or 4 hours, like killing a character off that's earned.
Yeah.
And it's way more memorable.
But
well, not necessarily, but
what was it? I feel like having the plot in the background works a lot better for Doctor Who.
so like the silence,
like the silence, like the knocking.
Or
If you
Bad
get
Wolf,
me,
if we want to, if we want to think of like a good example.
yeah, like
Instead.
Bad Wolf, the knocking.
I missed as a kid. I missed the episode where, I missed the big team up episode.
Oh, did you?
Which actually Bad Wolf wasn't explained in that one, was it?
I don't think it
Or
was.
yeah, no, because it comes back, doesn't it?
It comes
the
back.
Bad Wolf comes back suddenly, and then they have the mega team up episode where they have Sarah Jane, Torchwood, and all of the Doctor Who companions up to that point since the reboot. And I missed that episode as a kid, and I had like this vague notion because they were advertising it for weeks, and like Kids on the Playground were talking about it. I was like, damn, I just missed Avengers Endgame.
Was
I
Endgame
missed
before Endgame?
this cultural event.
Was Endgame?
I'm still quite annoyed that on one hand you can't really change showrunner without losing
a Doctor.
elements, but like I really do miss that amount of world building. There was consistency, which like alien species came back. Like there was, there was like some kind of vague arcs and plot threads. Even if some of them literally could have been made up on the fly, like the face of Bo. I mean, comes to mind, even though that was literally like a random made-up character who then returns one other time, and then there's one nudge wink at the end in another episode. I don't know. I'm kind of waffling at this point.
We are waffling a bit, but waffles are good.
That's a good line. I like that. Do we want to end it there?
Yes, we shall. Right.
Okay, so that was fun. A little bit of chat about a big brain idea in a short story. A little bit of existential freak out from realizing that pictures of us have existed longer than the pictures have. It makes me feel sick. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's insane. This has been really fun.
Yes, it has.
And I think you're a fun person to talk to.
So are you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Again in the future.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Please hydrate.
You are very welcome. God damn it.
If you're listening to this, you better hydrate as well.
You made me realise how dry my mouth was and how uncomfortable it was.
So is mine, because I'm scared to drink because it'll mess with my mic. You get them strong slurps happening. Yes. Please hydrate.
Okay, well, you don't know the outro to this podcast, do you?
No, I do not.
Okay, well, obviously, we have we don't have a theme of bees, but bees are in the top. You get it.
Yes.
It's named after bees. So Buzz, I have been Joshua Joel. Now it's your turn.
And I've been Orissa Pathan.
And we'll catch you later, honey. Mwah.
Mwah.